Read the disclaimer. Doofus. And please contact us through this email address with questions or fan art. Thank you for your support. It's always nice to have a calm moment where I can meditate.
MUNKY! In 1996, the Transformers franchise was in ruins. Generation 2 had failed to generate the same kind of audience that its predecessor had generated, and as such, sales were not very sustainable for the franchise. In an incredibly risky move, Hasbro decided to give the reins to the Transformers franchise over to Kenner, which they had acquired via their acquisition of Tonka. And what they came out with was Beast Wars, one of my favorite parts of the Transformers franchise. Though the reason it's my favorite isn't because of the toys themselves, but rather the show that came along with them.
Because back in 2017, I decided to digitally pirate the entire Beast Wars cartoon. I know, shame on me. But that is how I fell in love with the Beast Wars characters. To me, David K. will always be Megatron, Gary Chalk will always be Optimus Prime and Optimus Primal, and Scott McNeil will always be Waspinator, Rat Trap, and Dinobot.
And thusly, it is with a great sense of pride that I present to you a review of one of my favorite characters in the entire Transformers franchise. Salutations, denizens of the internet! I'm Firebite27, and let us commence our analysis of Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom, Voyager Class, Optimus Primal!
The sculpting on the gorilla mode is absolutely 100% fantastic, as every taut muscle, tangled hair, and wrinkled patch of skin is clearly visible, even without paint. It's also incredibly realistic with these patches of robotic detail, okay, these little blue lumps on the shoulders, okay, and guns that come out of the monkey's wrist, and okay, maybe it's not perfectly anatomically accurate to an actual gorilla, but I'll be damned if I start channeling Perspective End and pretend like this minor issue ruins the figure. Sure, there are a lot of exposed robot bits there, but considering this is a mainline release, A and B, even the Masterpiece couldn't get past a few of these bits of kibble, it's fine. Besides, making fun of a beast former for its exposed robot mode kibble is a dead horse I'd rather not be beating right now. Or I guess a dead mock kick? But that doesn't mean I'm against beating other dead horses, and as such, let's have a Harambe joke for the good time's sake. Also, did I mention that this figure has two completely separate monkey butts? One of these heinous hindquarters is located on the actual backside in gorilla mode, while the other is located on the front, and it makes him look like he has a very swollen ball sack. Which means that Optimus Primal may also be part Tanuki. Quick, find someone to play a drum solo on his scrotum!
Oh great, and now I'll never be able to look at this figure's crotch the same way ever again. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, though on a really unrelated side note, I now want a line of Transformers based around yokai. That would be awesome. Make it happen, Hasbro. Boy, I got derailed there for a second. Let's get back on track. I think the weirdest thing about this gorilla mode is that it just feels so natural. Every element of it shouldn't work, and yet it does work. Whether you're posing him to hang from something like a monkey, or in the process of filming Godzilla vs. Kong 2, Revenge of the Rabid Terminator Primate, or just doing office work on the Axelon while Rat Trap and Dinobot bicker in the other room. The articulation will be a great aid to you, regardless of the precarious scenario your disgruntled starship captain finds himself in.
The gorilla mode's head is on a swiveling mushroom peg that allows for almost 360 degrees of movement. The neck is also on 2 hinge joints, one to look up and down, and another for side-to-side motion. The arms rotate at the bicep, even though that reveals more kibble from the robot mode, and the arms can spread outwards from the shoulder, as well as spin in a full circle. Elbows bend, wrists rotate, and fingers open and close. The waist cannot turn, and the knees have some downright bizarre movement.
The range of motion you can get out of each limb is insane, whether it's perfectly natural stuff like this chest-pounding pose, or something totally stupid and unnatural like this thing that I assumed would look like a
chimpanzee riding on a Segway, chimpanzee riding on a Segway, bam, 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 bam.
Okay, Maya, that's enough.
Let me have my fun.
I'd also like to take this opportunity to make an insincere apology to any of the biology majors in my audience for calling this a monkey instead of a gorilla. I'm not stupid, but in the words of the great Theo Adams, the word monkey is inherently funnier than gorilla. What's also true is that this is inherently small for a Voyager. In other words, size comparisons time. Here's King Kong Prime next to my last review, Transmetal Rat Trap. The Last Kingdom figure I reviewed, Paleotrex, Cheetor, hopefully the next review, Kingdom Warpath, Kingdom Cyclonus, a standard Qtama, a standard can of sparkling water, and Fraudside. Overall, Optimus Primal's Gorilla Mode is very enjoyable and incredibly poseable. I'd suggest that you get one immediately. However, this is only half of the reason why you should get this figure. For the other half, we'll need this figure to maximize. Okay, I'm not gonna call the robot mode bad, but where gorilla mode only had a few glaring issues, there are admittedly a lot more in the robot mode. For starters, there's a massive gap between the top of the chest plate and the top of his shoulders. Normally I don't mind gaps, but this is just ridiculous. Second are these weird mechanical piston tendon thingies on his feet. I don't mind them and I like their aesthetic, but they restrict the movement a little. And also, the ankle tilt is also somewhat restricted. Third, was there no way to, try and get the chest plate to sit flush against the rest of the torso? All of these problems feel like they could have been corrected with enough work, but even with all of these flaws, it's still leagues better than the best of Voyager from Earthrise, which was Snapdragon. Warning, I am about to start gushing, and I probably won't stop until the end of the episode, so there's your warning. The first thing that I like about this figure is that they painted every single detail perfectly. These include the fake tricks of leadership on his chest, the fins and crest on his helmet, the upper arms, upper legs, and the crotch, and the scimitars, as they are one of my favorite parts of his arsenal in the Beast Wars cartoon. No prime jets to speak of on the back, or I guess convoy jets if you're from Japan, but he does have some absolutely phenomenal weapon storage on the backpack. You just slide him in via these tabs and there, they hold in pretty well. And here I'd mention the whole dual monkey butts thing again, but I've already covered that in depth, and at least at this point it's just a backpack and not his, tea bag, we'll say. Moving on to things that are both controversial and also masculine in nature, guns. Primal has 4 guns in total, 1 on each wrist and 1 on each shoulder. Each shoulder cannon has a single blast effect nub, while the ones on his wrists have 2 each. Which means that in Mother Russia, Zookeeper does not shoot a monkey, but the monkey shoots Zookeeper.
Kaboom! Kaboom! You are dead! Not a big surprise!
Isn't nature amazing?
Articulation features a ball joint at the head, shoulder rotation, shoulders move out, bicep swivel, elbow bends, Wrist swivels, waist swivels, thighs swivel, hips are universal joints, knees bend, ankles tilt, and toes bend.
Before this episode concludes, I'd like to give some special mention to the fingers of Optimus Primal. There are only 2 figures in my collection apart from this that have articulated fingers, that being Earthrise Optimus Prime and Studio Series Blitzwing. And out of the 3, I think Optimus Primals are the most natural looking. Probably because monkey hands are already quite irregular compared to human hands, but when it comes to the praises for Optimus Prime, one that I frequently didn't understand is why people said that the fingers looked natural when they bent. And no, don't avoid the question, you tell me. What, if anything, in the first through 9 circles of Dante's Inferno makes this finger bend look natural? It just looks like half of a Kamehameha wave.
I don't really want to get anal about this one detail on this amazing figure, but seriously, take a look at my hand. This is as far back as my fingers can flex without needing external support. At which point, it becomes painful and weird looking to keep them curved like this. However, if I just keep them out like this looks far more natural and just far less painful for me. Though, then again, that might just be because my fingers are lacking some dexterity.
I personally have struggled and failed to find a single scenario where Optimus Prime's finger flex looks natural. Optimus Primal, on the other hand, I found multiple scenarios and I've showed them to you throughout the course of this review. I haven't needed to point it out yet because that's how natural it is. And further to that, I'm going to make a bold claim and say that Earthrise Optimus Prime actually kinda sucks. It ruined the proportions of the figure and a lot of the articulation merely for the sake of having a G1 accurate robot mode. I think what also hurts Optimus Prime's fingers is that they open to a degree that is far too wide to look natural. Yes, the range of the finger articulation might be smaller overall, but at least it looks more natural that way. Also, I'm not above admitting that I find the height difference between him and Cyclonus utterly baffling. It feels like Cyclonus is more of a leader than most leaders these days. That doesn't mean that one is inherently better than the other, but it does confuse me. Also, no mace to speak of unless Paleotrex is in the house. Speaking of our fabulous fossilizer friend, let's do some size comparisons. Here's Optimus Primal's robot mode next to Transmittal Rant Trap,
Kingdom Paleotrex,
Cheetor,
Kingdom Skazam! Warpath!
Kingdom Cyclonus, a standard Qtama, a standard can of sparkling water, and of course, Broadside. So, in conclusion, is Optimus Primal flawless? No. But is he really good and worth adding to your collection? Oh, fuck the hell, yes he is.
You don't even need to ask. Of course, you should get Optimus Primal. This is a magnificent figure, and one of the best Voyagers that Hasbro has ever produced! I wish that was hyperbole, but I'm being fully serious. It's not flawless, sure, but what few flaws it does have are incredibly negligible, and I think that for a mainline release, this is the closest thing to God tier, except for maybe one other Voyager that I got from this line, that we'll ever get. And, I mean, just the fact that they managed to give a beast mode as much articulation as this is downright impressive, especially on a mainline figure. So I am going to give this one of my highest recommendations to date, with a perfect score of 10 out of 10. You should get this no matter what. And provided it's at a reasonable price, I totally recommend it. Just go over to whatever supplier has it available and buy this thing. With that being said, this is Firebite27, over and out. And don't forget, MUNKY!
Shut up. Thank you.